Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Katie and today we're going to be picking my March TBR out of a jar. So we're going to be letting my TBR jar prompts pick what I read throughout the month of March. I feel super spring right now. It's sunny outside. I'm wearing my cute yellow top. We're picking a brand new TBR for a brand new month. And I'm honestly in the mood for anything, like literally any genre. Like you guys might know if you watch my videos, I have been getting so into fantasy recently, like back into fantasy in a big way. But I also just finished a kind of general like contemporary fiction book set in Ireland and loved it. I just feel like super open to whatever the TBR jar decides for us this month. And I think we're going to pick, as always, 7 prompts. I do have one book that I definitely need to get to this month because it's coming out this month and it's our book club pick for March. So if you didn't know, I've actually started a book club over on Fable. It's basically a bookish app similar to Goodreads but has so many cool features, and one of those features is a book club. And there's already 46 of us. I'm so excited. So yeah, if you ever want to join us, the link is always going to be in my description from now on. The first book that we're going to be reading this month is the new Hunger Games novel. It is Sunrise at the Reaping, which is Haymitch's Games. So needless to say, I'm super excited and I've already started my reread of the Hunger Games in anticipation for that book. So yeah, we just started chatting over there because the book doesn't come out until the 18th of March. So you've got plenty of time to join if you'd like to, and we will just be kicking off the book club once we've all got our copies and start reading and like talking together chapter by chapter. There's like a chat for each chapter. It's so brilliant. So you only ever talk in the chapters once you finish, so you don't get any spoilers and you can kind of like read at your own pace but also talk to people. I would love it so much if you guys would join us for the first ever month. Anyway, I do need to figure out a way to fit that book onto my TBR this month, so I'm hoping and praying that we've got a prompt that fits the book. Okay, without further ado, let us pick our first book of the month. This feels especially full this month and I literally haven't added any, but if you do have any recommendations for prompts, definitely leave them in the comments and I'll add them to the jar. You're kidding. Okay, so our first prompt is a free pick, which means that I'm not restricted by any of the prompts, which is kind of ironic that this is our first pick. But anyway, I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to pick Sunrise at the Reaping for this first prompt, just so we've got it on there. I know that I'm reading that this month. So yeah, perfect. Let's start with that. Apologies, we've had to lower ourselves down because I was getting pins and needles sitting like I was. But anyway, this book is basically the second prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy by Susanna Collins, and it's actually Haymitch's story. So it is the story of his games back when he was a teenager, and in this one I believe it is a quarter quell. It might even be the first quarter quell. I don't know if he's that old though. I actually can't figure out the timeline and how old he is, whether it was the first or the second quarter quell, but that is basically a special games because it's the 25th or 50th anniversary of the games. So the game makers basically step it up a notch and put in this big twist, and basically in this one I think double the amount of tributes are in the games. So yeah, very interesting. It just seems like much higher stakes, even more than usual with the Hunger Games, which are high stakes anyway. So yeah, I'm so excited to get into that and find out what happens. Obviously we know kind of a general outcome, but yeah, just to find out the ins and outs and the nitty gritty of Haymitch's Games. So that's going to be the first book of this video. Let's go on to pick our second. Sorry, I'm going to do this really lazily. I just realised that doing this is like picking out a tribute's name like Effie does in the Hunger Games. Anyway, here's our next tribute. I'll let you guys see it first. Most recently hauled. I actually do think I know what this is, if we're not including ebooks, because I do download ebooks on like a daily basis. I did haul a book. It was a gift. It was a birthday gift, and I'm so excited because I really wanted to pick this month. I think this is the last book that we hauled, but anyway, it's Nightbane by Alex Aster. It follows on from Lightlark, which is the first book in a YA fantasy series, and the name Lightlark comes from this island which reappears every 100 years for what's known as the Centennial, which is kind of like a deadly game with all of the rulers of the realms. This is so Hunger Games coded, although I guess the games are over in the first book, so this is going to be a whole new thing. I can't really say much about this because it's the second book in a series, but I love our protagonist. I love the world. I love how each kind of like faction or realm is basically dictated by a different element. So you got the sky, the sun, the moon. The wildlings are like dictated by nature. You've got fire, you've got shadows. It's just so fun, and I'm loving YA fantasy at the moment, and I actually have Lightlark to thank for that. I would have been absolutely shocked if you told me in January that the first 2 books on this TBR would be YA fantasy. Like, that was not on my bingo card, like getting back into that genre in such a big way. But yeah, I'm just so excited, and I wish I could talk more about it, but obviously I'd just be giving everything away. It is going so well, and I just feel like something's going to go wrong. I always say this. Okay, that last pick would have been so good for this, but it's middle of a series. Does middle of a series include the last book of the series? Because I've got so many series that I've just got one book left to read in them. If that's the case, I've got so many to choose from, but I just need to think if I've got any books that are really truly the middle. Do I just pick another YA fantasy? Okay, we got 3 options and they're all fantasy. I don't know what is happening this month, but let's get into it. So our first option is the second book in the Hunger Games series, which is Catching Fire. This would be a reread, but it is my favourite, and I think I'm going to finish the Hunger Games in the next day or so anyway, so I would be wanting to go on to this soon. It's whether or not I read this before sunrise on the reaping. That is the question. So we're going to put that to the side. The second book is also the second book in a trilogy, and that is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I've been meaning to read this one for so long. I keep trying with the audiobook, but I usually fall asleep when I listen to it, which is not super helpful. So obviously it would be ideal to pick up the physical copy and actually spend some time like dedicated to reading this book. Do I think that if I put this on my TBR that I'll read it and I'll get to it and I'll prioritize it? No, I don't, but I will have to at some point. And then we've got probably the most daunting of the 3, and again, do I want to do this to myself? I don't know. That is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang, which isn't the middle of a series. It is the final book in the Poppy War trilogy, but I did say I wanted to read this in the spring because I've kind of been doing that every year. I'm really enjoying it. I just feel like the Poppy War just reminds me of spring now, which is very bizarre and like not based on anything other than the time of year I've just been reading them. It's just a coincidence really, but I do want to keep up with that theme and finish the series within spring. So if I don't pick this month, I will be picking it next month or the month after that. But yeah, this is such a massive undertaking. It's over 600 pages long. I don't know if I should do it or not. The other option is to read Six Scorched Roses, which is a little novella by Carissa Broadbent, which is after The Serpent and the Wings of Night, like in between that duology. That is on my Kindle, like it's downloaded and ready to go, but I do feel like these videos are specifically to get through my physical TBR, so I don't know whether that would be cheating slightly. But realistically, do I want to read any of these books this month? Not really. So yeah, I think this is the only prompt where I'm going to read an ebook for it. I'm going to pick Six Scorched Roses because it is in the middle of a series as well. It is the true definition of this prompt and I'm really excited for it. If you didn't know what the series is about, The Serpent and the Wings of Night basically follows our protagonist, who I've forgotten the name of, in yet another, you guessed it, deadly game. Yeah, Google literally says it's the Hunger Games meets vampires, where a bunch of vampires are competing for a wish from their goddess called Nyaxia. But the main character, Araya, she is actually a human. She's not a vampire at all. She's entering into these deadly games where she doesn't really have like a high chance of winning them, but it's honestly so high stakes, so fun. There's like a slow burn romance throughout. It is a really brutal and like bloodthirsty world, so it's on the darker side of fantasy, which I am realizing that I love. But yeah, this little novella, I don't know anything about it. I think it's going to link to the characters in the next book. I'm going in sort of blind to this one, which I'm quite happy about. So yeah, that is the third book that we're going to be reading in March, and the second that I actually don't have physically yet. I'm so sorry to these books. It's hard to tell how many books we've got on our list because the only one I've got next to me is Nightbane, but we are going to go straight on to prompt number 4. Okay, this is where it's gonna all mess up, I just know it. Oh my gosh, that's actually really fun. 5-star prediction. Fun fact, I have not read a 5-star yet this year and we're already 2 months in, which is a travesty. So I'm actually hell-bent to get a 5-star this month. We've gotten really close. We've gotten some 4.5 stars, but we just haven't got that 5-star feel in a book yet. I don't doubt that I'm going to give one of Carissa Broadbent's books 5 stars. However, we're not going to pick another one of those yet. I'm going to keep staggering the series throughout the months. So yeah, I'm going to have a look on my shelves and like pick something completely different. And I'm going to try also not to pick a fantasy. Oh, the way I literally just looked straight at a fantasy. Oh my god, no, I can't. I'm finding myself torn between 2 books. Neither of them are fantasy, so I think we can safely say that I'm gonna have a little bit of variety this month. The first one is Early Morning Riser by Catherine Heaney. I can't say anything other than I just have a really good feeling about this book. So I remember at the time it having absolutely glowing reviews, also including those from people that I really trust. So I did pick this up at a Waterstones a couple of years ago now, with that in mind, with the hope that I'd really enjoy this one. So the actual description of the book is quite cryptic. It's about this woman who's dating a guy who's gone out with, dated, been married to all these women in town, so she can't really escape any of his exes because they're just everywhere, which sounds like a really big red flag to me. But then a tragic accident happens. We don't know anything about it going into the book, so I'm very intrigued already. And yeah, everything changes. So yeah, I really couldn't predict what that would be. It's set in the early 2000s, which is such a vibe. I feel like this could hold a lot of nostalgia for me as well. So yeah, there's that one. And then there's also kind of a wild card, but I might be going to a book club where this is the book that's being discussed discussed, and that is Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. This is my copy from either GCSEs or A-level. I actually can't remember when we were studying this. It does have my scribbles all throughout, which I'm kind of pissed about because it's so ugly. It's not the aesthetic annotations that you think it is. This was me in GCSE, like literally red and blue ballpoint pens and pencil, like it's a bit of a mess, and honestly that doesn't even look like my handwriting. I'm so confused. But what I'm not confused about is the fact that I remember loving this book, and I didn't really give it a rating at the time because I didn't do that back then. It's the story of Jeanette, so it's kind of like semi-autobiographical, and it follows her from a young girl living with her very religious parents all the way to when she's a young adult and kind of discovering her sexuality and realizing she likes girls, but that being very against her parents' teachings. And I just remember being so obsessed with the story. There's so much about it that kind of just sticks out to me and like stayed with me even from when I was a teenager and wasn't into reading. These annotations are seriously bad enough to make me want to go out and buy a new copy, but I'm going to refrain from doing that because this is so cute, and I don't think this cover's in print anymore. Out of these two, I really don't know what I'm more likely to give 5 stars. Obviously I've read this one before and remember loving it, so it feels a bit safer, but then I could give this one a chance and like see how it goes. I really don't know, but I think I'm gonna go with Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit just because that book club is coming up, I think, at the beginning of April. So yeah, it would be good to get a start and maybe read it slowly throughout the month. It's split into these sections which also correspond with, I think, Bible sections. So you've got Genesis, Exodus, blah blah blah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. Why do I feel like the longer I dig in here, the better the prompt is gonna be? What does that say? Oh, so I've got my reading journal here, and in my reading journal I have a little page that is for all the books that I want to read in 2025, and like it said on the prompt, there are 25 books on here for me to choose from, so that is really exciting. So over half the books on here are actually 2025 releases, so most of them haven't come out yet, so I do have a smaller pool to read from. Sunrise on the Reaping is actually one of them. So the ones that we've actually got to pick between are Stag Dance by Tori Peters, Shark Heart by Emily Habak, We Do Not Part by Han Kang, Finishing Beartown by Frederick Backman, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Oh, that's my doorbell. Sorry, that was just Jamshed coming back from the gym. Okay, where were we? The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, The Burning God by Arthur Kwong, which we've already decided we're not going to read, If We Were Villains by ML Rio, which I won't read until the autumn, She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark, which I did not read last month, and I think that's it, other than Sunrise on the Reaping. So those are the ones that we're going to pick between. I think Stag Dance is actually coming out this month, so I might actually pick that one, just because I do want to keep on top of my arcs and releases as they come out. I kind of want to read them as soon as they come out, or kind of in the month that they come out. Okay, so this is my proof of Stag Dance, and this is actually a kind of quartet of stories, and they're all exploring transness, past, present and future. So I think a lot of these stories kind of are on like the horror side of things, which is really fun. And I've got a cute little letter from the author here and a little note from Serpent's Tail. They call it a genre blending quartet. So I think there's actually a bit of everything in here. I am obsessed with the finished cover. I'm going to pop it on screen. It is one of the most gorgeous covers that I've seen, and obviously within this trend of kind of like old-timey animal like paintings on covers, which has always been such a stunning trend. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to read this. I did say that I wanted to read it in March before it came out, so we're gonna pop Stag Dance on the pile. So this is what we're working with so far. Also, we've got Sunrise on the Reaping, which is coming out later in the month, and also the ebook for Six Scorched Roses. So let's go ahead and pick number 6. You know what, I'm gonna go for one off the top because I'm always digging and I don't know what I'm digging for. I really couldn't remember writing this one. A book under 300 pages. I'm gonna check if Early Morning Rise is under 300 because I kind of kept it to the side. No, oh my god, it's just over 300 pages. It's so annoying. But this is good because I've always want to have a mixture of longer and shorter books on my TBRs every month. I don't know why I feel in the mood to reread so much recently. Like, I'm rereading The Hunger Games. Now I'm going to be rereading Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. And I want to throw Sally Rooney in the mix. I don't know what is happening with me. But yeah, these are my 2 options. So let's go with Sally Rooney first. It is Normal People. And it's just been calling my name because I haven't read it for like 4 years. But yeah, I've been really wanting to reread this. And there was a quote, because I actually did pick this up the other day, flicking through the first few pages. And I saw this quote, and honestly, it is so beautiful. It just reminded me how brilliant Sally Rooney is. He could tell her anything about himself, even weird things, and she would never repeat them. He knows that. Being alone with her is like opening a door away from normal life and then closing it behind him. I love that I love them so much. But yeah, am I going to put another reread on this list? I don't know. And then we've got How Can I Help You by Laura Sims, which is another short book. I didn't even say how long the Sally Rooney is, but I think it's like 240 pages. This one is more like 210, 220, and it is a psychological thriller set at a library, which is so fun, about two librarians. But yeah, there's something about a thriller in the literary world, like Yellowface. There was this one scene in Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick, which is not really a thriller, but it was like quite thrilling. It was like dark YA, and that was set at a library. Like after hours, the library was shut and she was basically getting chased by someone else in the library and she didn't know who it was. And that scene is burned in my brain as one of my favorite scenes that I've ever read in a book. I could just see it so vividly. It freaked me out, and I was kind of hoping that we would get the same vibes in this one. It's also been blurred by Mona Awad, and she described it as a dark and spellbinding descent into jolly madness, which sounds really fun to me. So yeah, I think I'm actually just going to pop this on my TBR for March because we've already got one reread. I don't want to throw another one into the mix. So yeah, we're going to go for How Can I Help You by Laura Sims. And I'm so glad that I'm finally reading this because this was a proof that I received last year and I feel really bad that I didn't read it. We are doing well with my proofs at the moment. So this will be my last prompt pick of the video and I hope it's a good one. Okay, here is the chosen one. Okay, so we had less than 300 pages, now we got more than 500 pages. That is such a sick joke. Okay, I know what my gut's telling me. I've been wanting to read another Cassandra Clare book for the longest time, and I recently picked this up and just had a good look at it and thought it might be time. So I think I'm gonna go with this one, and it is over 500 pages, but it will be one of those books that's kind of like an easy read. I already know that I love her writing, so yeah, I feel like this might be a good one. I have a good feeling, but it is another YA fantasy. So I guess this video is incredibly well-rounded. We are back to the YA fantasy for my final pick, and that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. It's the first book in the Lost Hour series, and I think it's about the descendants of the Carstairs and Herondales in the Infernal Devices, which is really exciting because that was my favourite series growing up, along with Hush Hush. So I feel like it's going to be a really good time, and the page count is 590 pages on the dot. But yeah, this is really exciting. It literally says notes on the text. Most of the places in the London of Chain of Gold are real, and then it goes on to talk about some of those places. This is so exciting. I love fantasy books set in London. There's honestly just something about them. It's so magical. I will gladly pop this on my March TBR. Okay, so that is it. In the end, quite an eclectic mix, mostly YA fantasy, but with a few different genres sprinkled in as well. Like I said, we've also got Six Scorched Roses and Sunrise on the Reaping coming later this month. But here are all the physical books for now. I feel so good about this TBR. If you have read any of these books, let me know what you think about them and which one I should pick up first. But yeah, that's it from my March TBR video. As always, these videos are so much fun, and I hope that you guys enjoy them as much as I do. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you very soon with a vlog. Bye!